just because a market is saturated doesn't mean you shouldn't try to disrupt it. Let's take the beauty industry, for example. It's a $532 billion market, which might seem too daunting to even attempt to break into. But here's the kicker. Women are actually leading the way. When it comes to gender equality at the highest level, the beauty industry comes out on top. In fact, they officially outrank every other profession in terms of the highest percentage of women seen on the board and in executive positions. Unfortunately, that number is still only 29%. So clearly we still have a long way to go. But the good news is women aren't waiting for the doors to open. They're carving out their own niche and taking a slice of that billion-dollar pie for themselves. Lauren Gores Ireland is one of them. The co-founder of buzzy skincare brand Summer Fridays has broken the influencer mold, turning her online community into brand ambassadors. But it's their unique marketing initiatives during COVID that have really set the brand apart from their competitors. Knowing that people would be stuck at home for Summer Fridays this year, Lauren and her co-founder Mariana Hewitt decided to put the summer back in Summer Fridays with comfort house calls. Yes, we're talking a cake collaboration with Sweet Laurel Bakery, inspired by their jet lag face masks. Craig's vegan jet lag inspired ice cream called Vanilla Cloud, which comes with a mini mask, and co-branded limited edition collage kits and photo filters with influencer Tessa Barton. So smart, so genius, such incredible marketing. I'm so inspired by Lauren's career and thankful that Dell Technologies has brought us together for this amazing conversation today. In fact, thanks to their Dwen member marketplace, which is Dell Women's Entrepreneur Network, Dell is enabling women entrepreneurs across the globe to succeed by helping them navigate business challenges. Dwen has a proven ability to facilitate meaningful connections and bridge access to fellow entrepreneurs and advisors, technology, new markets, and resources you need to scale your business. So definitely check out Dwen. But get out your notebooks because class is actually in session right now with Lauren Gores. Welcome, Lauren. Welcome, Lauren. So excited to have this conversation with you. So let's get down to business. You've successfully made the shift from an influencer to an entrepreneur, which is by no means easy. Take us back to that moment when you and Mariana, you had this idea of Summer Fridays. What was your vision, your goal? Like, what was the conversation that you guys had?
Well, with anything, when something starts as an idea, you honestly have no idea really what it can become. And I remember we were out to coffee. We've been friends for more than a decade now. We were out to coffee and we really had this dream of starting something within skincare or beauty. And at the time I was early pregnant with my first son, and I was about 7 weeks pregnant. And I was complaining because I was cleaning out all of my beauty drawers of things that I couldn't use. And so this kind of idea sparked of creating clean skincare products that were made with good for you ingredients, with packaging and a brand that we really resonated with. At the time, there were definitely clean and organic brands that existed when we had the idea, but there weren't very many that we really resonated with in terms of the brand messaging and the packaging and the feeling of a brand. And so we wanted to combine this love for clean ingredients and putting things that were really good for us in a product, and then combine that with also our love for aesthetic and having something that we knew would also photograph well on channels like Instagram, which our influencer background really helped with that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And the packaging is iconic. It's all over Instagram, as you said, and has continued to do so as you've evolved into more products than your flagship product. But you have this brilliant idea. I guess my question for you is, did you guys write a business plan? Like, how did you turn this from a coffee conversation to an actual full-fledged business?
We did not have a business plan for quite a while. I will fully admit, I don't know if that's the greatest piece of advice, but it was one of those things that it truly was. It was a coffee conversation. We always had big dreams for it, but to be completely honest, in that moment when it was just an initial idea, we thought, oh, maybe we'll sell a few thousand units of this. We had no idea that it was going to go into Sephora and all of these different things. And so, but I will say that we had the idea, and quite literally that afternoon, we were already taking steps that were truly concrete steps to creating it. So we started asking people we knew if they knew of any labs. We cold called also a number of different labs, and then ended up finding one that we really loved. We started looking into different branding agencies, asking friends of friends. And I think that's kind of I thought what was really incredible. Once you do have an idea and you just start asking the people, even within your friends and family circle, they a lot of times know someone who knows someone who can connect you to whether it is a lab or a manufacturing facility or whatever it might be. And going through those early steps were surprisingly not costly either. And I always like to tell people that, because I think once we got further down, we had to put more money into it. But that experimentation phase of just making the calls, doing the research, even formulation of our first product, to formulate and to get samples is not crazy expensive. It gets expensive once you need to produce a large amount of something. So that was happily surprising to us. And we truly just started. And then we never really looked back. We kept going, kept formulating. We started with our jet lag mask. We formulated 3 products, our first 3 products at the same time. But jet lag mask was really what we felt strongly about launching with, and also felt the most intuitive to our lifestyles, and why we wanted it to be something very easy to just throw into your routine that you could take on the go. It would make you look a lot less tired than you felt. And it also met the clean ingredients list at Sephora.
That's amazing. This is so crazy, but I use jet lag mask since you guys launched it. I use it like at least twice a week as my moisturizer when I go to bed. And I didn't even know it was clean beauty, like at first, which was so crazy because it was like, I just thought the brand was so amazing. I knew you guys, and it's just awesome to see that you guys put so much into the product side of it as well, not just the branding, because sometimes those things don't go hand in hand. So what has been the biggest learning curve for you as now a beauty product founder?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I think early on, we really learned about building our team. I mean, for a while, it was just Mariana and myself, and then we had someone who really helped us with operations. And then we slowly but surely built out a team. And that was a huge learning curve, just because you get to a point where you realize you can't do everything. There's a lot in the beginning you can just figure out. And even through the first year, we kind of winged it a lot. We went with our gut. We worked really quickly. We sacrificed a lot of personal time to really focus on the business. And then once we got to a point where we're in Sephora, and we really had to operate like a big business. Once you're with a retailer like that, you can't operate without, a proper team behind you. And so that was a really big learning curve for us of being able to say, we don't need to do everything. And also, I think, really putting your ego aside and knowing that we can't do all of the jobs. And so we need to bring in people who can do them even better than we can. And that was a big learning curve for us.
Absolutely. And so how big is the team now?
We have 15 of us, which is
amazing.
I know we feel really proud of that. And then we have a handful of consultants as well. So 15 that are in-house, and then a handful of consultants. But for the first year, it was about 3 to 4 of us. So it was,
big growth.
Yes. Yeah.
And what was the strategy? And it's funny because you guys did this, and then now I've seen a ton of brands doing this, of launching with one product. Like, that used to not be the norm. It was like, here's our full line of 18 products. So what was the strategy behind it?
We did it for a couple of reasons. One, we knew from our influencer background, we knew how overwhelmed we would easily feel by product launches. And sometimes we would receive beautiful packages, but they would have 6 or 7 products in them, and we wouldn't necessarily know what the hero was. And we would kind of just pick and choose out of a box and say, I think this might work for me, it may not work for me. And so we felt that just by doing one product, it would give our community time to trust us, to trust the brand. Jet lag specifically is a product that was very easy to add into your routine. We weren't asking people to replace something right away. We really wanted to earn their trust before we gave them a whole line of skincare products to suddenly, that can feel a bit more jarring in the beginning. So that was a big reason. And then the other reason, honestly, was financial, because it was much easier to produce a single product than it was to produce 6 or 7 products, especially in the beginning when you're self-funding or when you're working with limited funds. So that was also a big thing for us. And then we specifically chose the blue too, because we knew at the time that Summer Fridays blue was not, it wasn't on Instagram at all, really. It was just something that you weren't really seeing. You were seeing a lot of millennial pink. And so we chose that blue. It's actually the blue I'm wearing. That was going to be the color of the two.
Oh, I love that. I love when it's like you match your product.
Yeah.
So research has shown that early mentorship can have a major impact on small business revenue and growth. A recent survey actually found that 70% of small businesses that received mentorship survived more than 5 years. doubled the survival rate of a non-mentored business, which is just a crazy stat. So how has mentorship and networking opportunities contributed to your success? And how are you paying it forward to help other female entrepreneurs coming up behind you?
It was really significant for us. We had a couple of people before us who had kind of done a similar route in their own way. Jen Atkin of Way was really significant for us in terms of, she really introduced us to Sephora. She really helped guide us when we had big questions, and she had kind of done this sort of journey right before we had. Also, Jamie Kern-Lima at It Cosmetics had on a much, on a really big scale at that point. By the time we had met her, It Cosmetics was huge already. And she very kindly sat down with us for hours one day and just gave us so much information and advice, and was really incredible. And then, so many other people before that. Nancy Twine at Briogeo has also been amazing. So there's been a lot of people within the industry that have really mentored us. There's also been people, financially who have mentored us, friends and family. And so I know that we would not be where we were today without having a lot of those mentors really help guiding us. And then we have a group called the Founders Club, which is kind of a group of also female beauty founders. And we also try to help mentor each other in a way, which was really helpful. Right now, obviously we can't see each other in person, but that's been really helpful. And then I hope, honestly, things like this, I hope that these are ways that we can mentor people that we may not know in real life, and be able to reach so many more people if they can come on and watch something like this and hopefully take some things away from it.
Absolutely. The access to information, especially during this time, has been unprecedented. So you can get a whole masterclass in launching a business just by getting on Zoom, which is awesome. So, let's talk a little bit about the not so glamorous parts of being a business owner. So let's talk about cash flow. Cash flow is a number one question we get at Create and Cultivate. How do I manage this? So can you share some of the challenges you faced with money as you guys have grown so quickly?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, growth is really positive, right? You have huge amounts of growth, or you end up being able to work with an incredible retailer like Sephora and whatever these big momentous occasions might be. But they also can cost money, especially in the beginning when you, again, have to sort of produce a lot of something. So you have to produce a lot of units of something, or if you need to scale much faster before you're making the money from that big moment, you also have to put money into something. And so a couple of things, for our business personally in the beginning, because it was the two of us and we had a marketing background, we were able to spread it on social. And like I said, we just started with that one product. We were able to launch without bringing on additional funding, and we self-funded. We did bring on a small investment about a little over a year in, between a year and a half in. And that was a decision that we made so that we really could scale and not worry about cash flow and being able to meet payroll and a lot of those things that come with early businesses. And so it was a decision that we wanted to make. And I think a lot of times if you have big growth like that, that is a good decision. And then it's just really about how big of an investment you do.
Yeah. And the good news is you had proof of concept at that point. So you had launched this product successfully. You had a pipeline of people who wanted to follow you on Instagram and were excited about the product launch. So going out and asking for money at that point, you have a lot more control in that situation than you otherwise would pre-revenue or pre-product even. So have you guys implemented any specific technologies that have helped you scale and grow as you are building the business?
Honestly, our financial team is amazing. I feel like their Excel sheets are ultra organized. I honestly, internally, we do use Excel a lot. That's our main, just the main way that we kind of track everything. And then different retailers have different ways of giving information that we kind of track within that. And then in terms of team communication, especially now, tools like Slack are obviously really important. Zoom, things like that in terms of just the communication day to day with the team.
Absolutely. So let's get into digital marketing, because you guys obviously are the masters coming from the influencer space. So you know what works on Instagram, and you clearly applied the strategy that you guys have known personally to your professional brand as well. So how much has social media played a role in your success, and how did you build an audience essentially from scratch for your brand?
Well, honestly, it's been everything to the growth of our brand. Now we have other avenues of growth now, but the first year to year and a half was truly on social channels, specifically Instagram. At the start, we both had influencer backgrounds, which of course helped because we had communities that were built in, and I'll say over and over again that significantly helped than if we were, starting from zero. And we also, we knew a lot of people. We had supported a lot of friends over several years of sharing their brands and products and work with other brands. And so in the beginning, our friends who were also big influencers were very willing to share and at no cost, which was, incredibly kind and nice. And I think that was huge to the success in the beginning. We also partnered with Sephora, and obviously they have their own following and their community as well. But we didn't put any money into that in the beginning. And I actually think it's kind of remarkable what you can do at the start without putting a ton of money into a channel like Instagram and trying to reach out to the networks that you have and doing gifting, sending things out to people, and instead investing in getting that product out to different people, I think is really helpful. And then of course, like taking photos that are really engaging and getting the attention that way. We do now put money into those channels. So now that we have grown, we, whether they're our close friends or someone that we don't know, we do pay influencers, and that's now part of the strategy. We also, do digital advertisements both on Instagram and Facebook, and there's a lot of different avenues now, but in the beginning that was such a focus for us, was just getting it out to our community that we knew.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's a lot of business owners focus when they're first starting out. And I do think, and I'm glad to hear that you say this as well, but I think gifting does work. Sampling does work for consumers. Like, it's so true. I'm like the biggest test case because at Create and Cultivate, we get so many amazing brands that we get to work with and products that we get. And I'm like such a sucker. If I like something, I will buy it 10 times over, if I get a little jar of it, I want a bigger jar. So, that really does, I think, work really well. And it might not be everyone posts about it, but if you find people who do post about it, and then those people can become your organic followers as well. So let's talk about moving beyond Instagram. So what other platforms have been successful for you guys, and which ones are you focusing on when it comes specifically to converting sales?
So beyond Instagram, we do a lot on Facebook, especially with Facebook advertising, it does really well. And then our email list, and we also send out text messages when we have something like a big sale, a big launch. We don't over text. So we're figuring out that balance of how often, because you don't want to bug someone all the time. But we really just do it when we have either a really big sale, a new product launch that we're teasing to, or some kind of new merch launch. And honestly, between texting and email, we do get a significant amount of conversion, which has been really incredible. And then Instagram, I feel like what Instagram is kind of the best for is getting out the message so people can see it, and it makes them want it. But I think in terms of like really getting that conversion, we've really seen a lot from email and text. And then in terms of like growing each of those, a lot of that growth has also happened through different partnerships that we'll do, either through, various giveaways that we'll have with another, whether it's a beauty brand or a lifestyle brand, we'll do that often. And then you kind of generate from both communities. You can get things, you can work with different people, and then you are chatting with them through email or chatting with them through text. And it's just another way to reach someone that might feel more personal than just Instagram.
Yeah, text is huge. So many people are jumping on that boat early on, and definitely a great way to be in someone's face, because as soon as you get a text message, you check that. Right. But email's huge for us too at Create and Cultivate. It's definitely something we've been working on growing through partnerships, like you said. But what advice would you give someone who wants to start an email list from scratch? Like, they're just starting out. Like, what is as key to it growing a successful email list?
I think two different things. One, you can start to grow it through your social channels and give people a reason to sign up for a newsletter. So if you have a bigger community that's built in on a social platform, you can tease different things and give them a reason to go to their newsletter, such as being, if you're signed up for the newsletter, you can be the first one to know about the product launch or things like that, which I think also entice people to sign up for something like a newsletter. And then I also think the partnerships is huge. So reaching out to other brands that feel very native to your brand, where you think that those communities would just naturally overlap. So, if there's another, we worked with Sweet Laurel on something, and Sweet Laurel Bakery, and it's like there's definitely like some synergies between different companies or different beauty companies that we've worked with. And so I would say that's also a really great way to grow.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, look, we should do one together.
Yes.
I
love that. Yes.
The magic is happening here, people.
Yes.
Look, this is how it goes.
This is how it happens.
This is how it happens, telling you. So let's talk a little bit about COVID. So COVID obviously has triggered a major e-commerce boom, especially in the self-care space. So we saw that the pandemic has accelerated the shift away from physical stores, obviously, to digital shopping by about 5 years. So we're 5 years ahead of the curve now. Were you prepared for the spike in sales as a result of the shift? And have you adapted your e-com strategy at all to adjust to this new increase in online shopping?
We were, thankfully, fortunately, we were okay with there was definitely this significant boom where all of a sudden all went digital. And then of course, a lot of our business also within Sephora retail stores then shifted to online. Because we were also within a big retailer, I think it also helped. So it wasn't so sudden just on our direct to consumer site, which probably would have felt overwhelming, but thankfully we were well prepared. Our team also was really used to working virtually because I was telling you this earlier, but we had just moved into our office 4 days before COVID hit. And prior to that, we had always been virtual. Our team had always been working, digitally with one another. And so everyone was very good and savvy at the very beginning of just shifting, and just kind of going into that mode. But it also counted on a lot, especially with our direct to consumer business, really counted on the facility that's, filling the orders and sending them out. And there were a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different teams that really stepped up to the plate, which we are very, very grateful for, because without that, then, you're not able to get orders out and things like that. And then I think we were also really upfront, and still are, that sometimes, especially in a time like this, some things are out of your control. So if mail is running behind, or if FedEx is running behind, or whatever it may be, because of the circumstances, of just being very transparent with that up front. And then if there are any hiccups, people are usually more understanding.
Yeah, definitely. And also getting to digital, historically, Summer Fridays has relied on these amazing IRL activations, such as setting up that Instagrammable photo booth with flowers in Los Angeles, which was all over Instagram. But obviously, since social distancing rules have canceled all in-person events, can you share some of the unique marketing pivots you've made to create some social buzz and around new product launches that have made you guys stand out?
I know we miss our in real life events, because prior to all of that, I know you do too. And prior to this, we were we still are such a believer in community and in seeing our community in real, not just online, but in seeing them in real life too. So, of course we had to pivot, but it's really all been about what can our community still feel like we're doing together online in ways that are fun and seamless for them. And so we've had a number of different collaborations that have been really fun for us to do, that I think have been also unexpected. So we did something with Sweet Laurel Bakery here in LA and collaborated with them. We also did something with Craig's Vegan. We had these really cute ice cream pints that people could also order on Postmates. We worked with Tezza, and with the Tezza app, we created a custom filter, and we had this really fun collage kit that people could order. And so they were unexpected, but even things like, like Craig's Vegan, and there's the synergy there is that they're vegan and all of our products are vegan. And so there's always some kind of fun tie-in. And then the other thing that's worked, I think, really well for us has been giving people fun, exciting moments that are not just products. So we've created different sweat sets. We had this really great blue and white tie-dye sweat set that we came out with in the middle of quarantine. And it sold out in like minutes. People were so excited about it because we were all in sweats, and it was just it was a new fun way to feel like we were together. And then I think different people wanted to order the sweats too, just to feel like there was this camaraderie in a way, it's like we're all in these matching sets. And so different things like that have worked really well in terms of just getting creative with moments that give you a feeling. And that's the biggest thing that we just are always focused on, is how do we give someone that feeling? And then we've kind of with product launches, with things like gifting, we've done fun things like sleepover bags where, we'll have a fun duffel and a journal and a sleeping mask and all of those kinds of things, just to be able to create a moment at home.
I love that. Yeah. I feel like you guys are so on the pulse of things and always move quick to get things launched, which is so important, especially as a small business. So there's no such thing as smooth sailing when it comes to being a business owner. You know that. And obviously 2020 has been the craziest of crazy years. So outside of marketing, how did you rethink your business strategy this year to ensure that you guys were on track to meet all of your goals?
I know. I mean, it was also something honestly, in the very beginning, when we had no idea kind of where the direction of everything was going, that's something that we really thought about. We have felt very fortunate that we're in self-care, and that is it continues to be such a significant focus, obviously, for everyone. And I think in terms of there were a couple of things. I mean, one, I think ensuring that our online business was really strong, that we were able to fulfill orders. We were able to obviously have a lot of growth in there. And I think also really going back to it was always a focus, but I think everything happening made it that much more of a focus of really going back to our community. And I think with Summer Fridays, and something that we've worked, really hard to build, and something that I think is one of the best parts about the brand, is we really do feel such a closeness to our community. And so it may start online, but it feels like it goes beyond that. And I think that's become even more of something that's just so important to our overall business, to our community. We want them to feel like they're really a part of everything we do, even if we don't see them in real life, and if there's no in real life events. And everything and every decision that we make is always really, really keeping that in mind. And that it's, of course, first and foremost are these products that work and that are effective. And then really surrounding all of that is our community of people, and knowing that support exists regardless of what's happening in the world.
Amazing. And obviously, with the Instagram highlight reel we all see and everything looks glossy and perfect, how do you handle failure when things don't work out? What do you do in those moments as a leader?
Things don't work out all the time. And that's, I mean, I tell people this all the time. On any given day, there are a number of different things that don't go the way that you had planned. And it's really just about always trying to be flexible and to pivot. I never become so attached to a specific idea or to a specific plan, because I know that plans are going to constantly change. And I really, really, truly believe as long as you remain flexible, failures don't feel that significant. We have had so many failures, and none of them have brought down our business, because we hear it, we accept it, and we say, okay, so what's the next option? What is our plan B? What are we going to do next? And we always, Marianne and I are sort of like mantra together, is it's never a crisis. There's always a solution. And we have always had that attitude from day one. Neither one of us get overly stressed out about even when something goes wrong. We honestly just kind of take a step back, and we just immediately start going into, okay, what can we do, and what's the next step? Do we need to is there someone else that we need to ask for advice, or someone that's been through this before that can help us pivot? And I really think that's so true of any, regardless of what your business is. When you have that flexibility and that outlook of, okay, we can pivot, I think failures are just these lessons, and you keep going and you figure out a new way.
Absolutely. And I feel like the best leaders think that way, where it's like not a problem, but what's the solution? Like, how do we get to the solution? It's such an amazing trait and asset to have as a leader. So what's next for Summer Fridays? Like, do you have any cool things that you're about to launch? Obviously, we're going into the holiday season, which is huge for gifting. What is on the agenda?
We do. Well, we have a holiday kit that's coming out at Sephora. And then we just launched our soft reset exfoliating solution. And that was our most recent launch. And then we, of course, are always working on new merchandise items that I can't can't say exactly what they are, but we'll have something fun coming out very soon on that as well. And then we have new products coming. I can't say exactly when and what they are, but we are always deep in the formulation process and always formulating a lot at once, and testing and trialing, because the process is actually quite long. And then we really listen to our community and sometimes kind of dictate the cadence of launches, depending on what people are really asking for. But we have some really exciting things coming up that I think our community will love.
Amazing. I'm so excited to check everything out. So we're going to wrap with some rapid fire questions. Is that cool?
Yes.
Okay. To be successful in business, you need
optimism and resilience.
The best advice I've ever received is
life is long, take your time, do it right.
My proudest moment as a small business owner is
I have two: growing our team and being profitable after our first year.
Ooh, that's huge. And the biggest sacrifice I've made for my career is
I can't think of one single moment, but there's a lot of the in-between moments that I've sacrificed. So a lot of the nights out with friends, I've missed some bedtimes with my son. There's a lot of those in-between moments that I have missed and that I sacrificed, but I also think it's for something that I believe is really significant and important.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I loved it.